The lady we're going to be discussing today claimed her life's goal was to have killed more people, helpless people, than any other man or woman who ever lived. And I was just like, damn, at least she had goals.
I mean, true, but that's some sad goals to have. That's not good.
No, but at least she's setting goals for herself.
Why do you want to kill so many people?
This week, we are discussing serial killer Jane Toppan. I'm Nina.
And I'm Andrea, and this is Cults, Crimes, and Spirits.
So, Jane Toppan was actually born Honora or Nora. I saw it both ways, but I think Nora was just short for Honora.
I like Nora. That's a cool name.
Yeah, it's not bad. Her name was Honora Kelly, but we're just gonna call her Jane so it doesn't get confusing, because I don't want to go back and forth between Nora and Jane and blah.
But where
blah.
does Jane come
So
from?
we'll get to that.
Okay.
She was born in Boston, Massachusetts.
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one.
Massachusetts.
She was born in Boston.
Around the Tea Party.
A little after the Tea Party. In 1854 or 1857. Because there's some confusion on her birth year because certain documents say 54 and some say 57.
Hey, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's how our grandpa's is. His is all messed up. His birth is the wrong year.
Yeah, he was born in 1944, but because some of the documents got messed up in a fire, I think it's like listed as 45 instead. Old document keeping, man. All right, and get this. So Jane was the daughter of Irish immigrants.
No way.
Who else was an Irish immigrant?
Alice Riley.
Yes. Our very first episode was on Alice Riley this year. So it's like every episode somehow connected
Linked.
to the last
Yeah,
one.
that's weird. And we don't even plan it. Like, we never know what we're really gonna do. But they all link together, so it's weird.
Yeah. From what I could find, Jane was the youngest of three sisters, Nellie and Delilah. But there may have been a fourth sister named Mary, but I wasn't able to find clear records on if Mary actually existed.
Once again, poor record keeping.
Yes. Their mother died from tuberculosis when Jane was a baby.
That's pretty sad.
It is. She never got to know her mom, and Jane and her sisters were left in the care of their father, Peter, who was a tailor and who was also known as Kelly the Crack.
Why? What's that mean, Kelly the Crack?
So Peter Kelly, he was a bit of a crackpot, apparently. So they called him Kelly the Crack. And he was known for being a little bit off his rocker. And he was reportedly found in his shop trying to sew his eyelids together.
No way.
Yes. And soon afterwards, he was institutionalized, obviously.
Yeah, good. That's insane.
Well, yeah.
What a life.
The children were then left in the care of their grandmother. Yeah. It's like, what the?
Yeah.
I don't know what would possess you to want to do that, but
maybe he was smoking crack.
Maybe. Did they have crack back then?
Probably. I don't know when drugs started existing.
Some form of it.
Yeah.
I don't know either. Some kind of drugs, maybe. I'm curious.
What are you gonna Google?
When was crack invented? See, crack cocaine is a highly addictive and powerful stimulant that is derived from powdered cocaine. Yeah, blah, 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 I know. Crack emerged as a drug of abuse in the mid-1980s. Oh, so we're like 100 years.
Yeah, but what if they had some form of something like that?
I'm sure they did, but not crack the way we know.
Yeah.
Anyways, the children were then left in the care of their grandmother for a time, but she couldn't take care of them. And eventually, Nellie got institutionalized too. I don't know why. they said, like, maybe it ran in the family, whatever they were dealing with. And yeah, so she ended up in an institution. Down. Yeah. And in 1863, Peter Kelly pleaded with the Boston Female Asylum, an orphanage for indigent girls, to take his other 2 daughters, which they eventually did. So Delilah and Jane went to the orphanage. At the age of 6, Jane was sent to live with Abner and Anne Toppan in Lowell, Massachusetts. I can't say that word. She was kind of like an indentured servant, which also Alice Riley.
Yeah, that's weird.
Was? Yeah. So she was an indentured servant to the Toppans. The Toppans never formally adopted Jane, but they're the ones that changed her name from Honora to Jane because there was a lot of prejudice at the time against Irish, and they tried to pass Jane off as being Italian and told people that her parents died at sea.
Oh, so they wouldn't think that she was Irish.
Yeah. I don't know why people hated the Irish so much then.
Dang. They had a bad reputation.
Yeah. Delilah, her sister, though, was not as lucky as Jane, if you consider Jane lucky, considering how her story turns out. But Delilah was not as lucky as Jane because she allegedly became an alcoholic and ended up a prostitute. So she kind of had a sucky life, yeah. Jane also had a foster sister named Elizabeth, which was the Toppans' actual daughter, who she was pretty friendly with, like, growing up, but then she was secretly jealous of Elizabeth, you know?
Yeah.
Jane excelled in school. She was really smart, but she started showing signs of being a sociopath.
Oh, God.
According to the Mayo Clinic, a sociopath is a mental health condition in which a person consistently shows no regard for right and wrong and ignores the rights and feelings of others.
That's scary, dude. They don't care about anything.
Yeah, they have no remorse. And Jane was famous for telling lies and committing petty theft. And obviously her behavior will escalate, as we will see, but that was the early signs. Around the age of 16, Jane got engaged and things were looking up for her. But her fiancé moved away to find work. He went about 70 miles away from Lowell, where they lived, and he ended up falling in love with his landlady's daughter.
Oh no, that's awful.
Yeah. And he decided to call off their engagement.
That's so sad.
And she reportedly hammered the engagement ring that he gave her and tried to harm herself multiple times over this.
Poor Jane. What a life.
Young love.
16. Yeah, that's very young. Don't worry, there's more living. People... Yeah, by then, don't you already have like 4 kids? Didn't our great grandma already have like 4 kids?
That's when people were getting married. Yeah, she had like, I don't know, they got married when she was like 13, and then I think she had her first kid at 14. That's insane. Yeah.
Too young.
But back then, it's like if you were 16 and unmarried, that's
weird.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be alone forever.
Yeah. But eventually, like, Jane kind of gets over it. Maybe. I don't think she ever really got over it, which we'll find out later. But she moves on. And at the age of 18, the Toppans gave Jane $50 and released her from her indenture.
No more servant life?
No more servant life. She was free to do whatever she wanted to do. And Jane could have left when she was 18, but she decided to stay and continue to work for the family because, I mean, that's all she knew. They were her family. During this time, the Toppans, they eventually pass away, and Elizabeth got married to a man named Oramel Brigham. I think I'm saying that right. Oramel Brigham.
That looks right.
So they got married, and eventually we'll come back to them.
Okay.
So
okay.
don't forget about Elizabeth and her husband. Yeah. Oramel. When Jane was about 26 years old, she decided she was finally going to leave and go study nursing at a local hospital in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She was very cheerful and pleasant to be around, and the patients just loved her, and that soon earned her the nickname Jolly Jane.
Jolly Jane, good old Jolly Jane.
Although the patients loved her, her fellow colleagues reportedly couldn't stand her. she continued with her lies, and she liked to spread gossip and talk shit about other people. So she was like a shit stirrer.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's one of those everywhere you go.
There is. There's always that one person that you work with and you're just like, you don't want to see them coming. You try to avoid them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, shortly after Jane arrived in Cambridge, things also started to go missing, like money and supplies. But there was no proof that it was Jane, but you know it was Jane.
Yeah, we all know it was.
Outside of work, Jane liked to tell dirty jokes, drink beer, and of course gossip. So I thought she sounded kind of fun, but psychotic, but fun.
Yeah. I mean, I like to tell dirty jokes sometimes and drink some beer.
Me too.
And gossip's gossip, man. You can't help it. Sometimes. Yeah. I try not to do it, but I do it.
Yeah. I like to hear gossip. I don't really like to get involved in drama and stuff. Also, if Jane liked a patient that was in her care, she would extend their stay at the hospital by altering their records and giving them medicine to make them stay sick.
Wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah. So she would also conduct experiments on some of the patients, mostly old people. Like, she did not really like old people. And she wanted to see what effects certain medicines would have. So she would just play doctor. Jane landed on this like perfect concoction that she tried during her experiments, and it was a mixture of morphine and atropine, the active ingredient in belladonna. And according to the book by Cimino, Angels of Death, Murderous Medics, Nefarious Nurses, and Killer Carers. Long title.
Yeah.
The morphine made the pupils constrict, while the atropine made them dilate, and a careful balance of them disguised the symptoms of poisoning. So Jane discovered this combination after reading about how a New York City doctor named Robert Buchanan murdered his wife this way for the insurance money in 1892. Robert was executed via the electric chair in 1895.
Dang, he killed his wife for some money.
Yeah. So yeah, she had a lethal dose. Like she tried that combination and it worked for her. It made it easier for her to kill people.
Sneaky snake. That's very sneaky though.
Jane also had this insane interest or borderline obsession in autopsies that was a little bit concerning to her superiors. That was like a red flag.
She's reminding me of like Nurse Ratched.
A little bit. So on top of all of this, Jane did not like old people, and she would often go around saying that there was no use in keeping them alive. And people just chalked it up to, that's a messed up joke, ha ha ha. But she was straight up serious. She killed a lot of old people.
Poor old people. They didn't do anything.
Didn't want to meet Jolly Jane. One day, one of Jane's patients, who was showing signs of improving, just suddenly died. And then another one dropped dead, like, soon after. And the hospital was like, that's
weird.
That's probably not good. Yeah, so they let her go. They couldn't really prove that she did anything wrong, but they were like, we don't want a lawsuit, just died. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they just let her go from that hospital. But then she quickly found another job at another local hospital. And I think she was like continuing her studies because she didn't have her license yet. So she ended up somehow worming her way into the position of head nurse because the actual head nurse was out on leave for a little bit. Mm-hmm. So she just stepped up into that position. And her colleagues there also like could not freaking stand her. And they started to notice that she was being reckless with how she administered medication to the patient. So people were starting to notice that she was not doing what she was supposed to be doing.
She was a little off.
Yeah. She, one day, apparently made the mistake of leaving the ward without permission. And apparently that's a big no-no. And because of this, not because of being reckless, but because of this, she was let go. And even though she had passed her final nursing exam and her diploma was like signed and ready to go. They didn't give it to her, so she didn't get her nursing license.
Sure, that made her go crazy.
She couldn't, because she didn't get her nursing license, she wasn't allowed to work at the hospitals anymore. But this is the weird part. So, even though people were noticing that patients were dying in her care and she was being reckless with the medication and items were going missing and shit, she had made friends with some high up people and some high up doctors and stuff, and they gave her recommendations to these like wealthy ass families to go be like a home nurse.
Perfect. She's like, hell yeah.
Yeah. So Jane soon entered the world of private nursing, and she was making upwards of about $25 a week.
Wow.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but back then that was a lot, because the average woman at the time was only making about $5 per week. So, needless to say, Jane was killing it. No pun intended.
That's funny. She's killing it.
So Jane eventually moved to a new place in Cambridge, and her new landlords there were Israel and Lovey Dunham. And Israel soon died pretty quickly. His official cause of death was given as a strangulated hernia. Mm-hmm. And Lovey died 2 years later, supposedly of just old age. But in fact, it was Jane who later admitted to killing the elderly couple because the two had become too feeble and too fussy.
She was just like, nah, you guys are too old. I don't like old people. Yeah. I'm gonna kill you.
Pretty much.
She's insane.
So, like, now we're gonna come back to her sister and her sister's husband.
Yes.
All right. So, in August of 1899, Jane went on a trip to Cape Cod and rented a little cottage. She rented out a whole fucking college.
You said a little college. I don't know where those exist at, but...
She had been vacationing in Cape Cod for years, and this time she asked her sister Elizabeth if she would like to join her, because Elizabeth had been complaining lately of, like, being depressed and stuff. So Elizabeth was like, heck yeah, I'll be there. She was so excited, and Jane had other plans.
Why?
Well, I think she was just always jealous of Elizabeth and, like, saw Elizabeth as the symbol from her childhood of, like...
Yeah, disappointment.
Yeah. So, one day, while they were on vacation, Jane took Elizabeth down to the beach for a picnic. And there she gave her some kind of mineral water that was laced with strychnine.
Oh, what is that?
Yeah. I looked up strychnine, and according to the CDC... it used to be available in pill form and was used to treat, like, many human ailments, but today it is primarily used as a pesticide, mostly to kill rats.
Ew.
So it's probably pretty strong stuff, and they realized we probably shouldn't give this to humans.
Mm-mm.
Jane took pleasure in watching Elizabeth suffer. She later said, I held her in my arms and watched with delight as she gasped her life out.
That's fucked up. That's so messed up to say.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
So a few days after Elizabeth arrived for what she thought was going to be a delightful vacation with her dear sister, she ended up in a coma from being poisoned, and her husband was called there, and Elizabeth soon passed away with Jane and her husband by her side.
Fucking jolly Jane.
So, Elizabeth's dead.
Dead.
Then... a wealthy widow named Mary McNear became pretty sick while she was on a trip to Cambridge, and the doctors were like, let me recommend the best nurse I know to take care of you at home.
What nurse is that, you may say?
Jolly Jane, of course.
Good old Jolly Jane.
Jane arrived at Mary's home to take care of her, and Mary, poor Mary, was dead within like 3 hours.
Damn.
Like, she wasted no time on this lady.
Yeah, she must have been itching to kill.
Yeah. Either that or she was like, I really don't want to take this job right now, but let me take it, let me make some money, and let me kill your ass. Like,
and it's an old widow bitch, so.
A wealthy woman. She probably stole some stuff while she was there. But yeah, then about a month later, this cold-ass bitch decided to kill her good friend, Myra Connors, because Jane wanted her job as a dining hall matron at St. John's Theological School.
What the hell?
First of all, I don't even know what a dining hall matron does. That? Or why you... It doesn't sound like a great career, but...
Is it something to kill someone over?
I don't know. No, but she did it anyway. She killed Myra with strychnine, and she got Myra's job.
No way.
And she was soon fired for financial irregularities. So, like, yeah. She got the job and then lost it.
Dumbass bitch.
And she's, like, killing people for all different kinds of reasons. It's like, you're old. Okay. You're my sister. I don't like you. I want your job.
Yeah, what? She doesn't give a fuck. She's gonna kill you.
Eventually, Jane moved on after getting fired and ended up rooming in a new place with new landlords in Cambridge named Melvin and Eliza Beadle. She didn't kill these landlords, but she did poison them once, only enough to make them seem like they had food poisoning, and then she poisoned their housekeeper to make her appear drunk so she would get fired so Jane could take over, and it worked.
Wow, she's a manipulator.
So the Cape Cod cottage where Jane murdered her sister Elizabeth was owned by this retired sea captain named Alden Davis and his wife Maddie. Mm-hmm. They had been renting out that same cottage to Jane for several years. But the last year after her sister died, they kind of felt bad asking for the rent, so they just kind of let it go. But then apparently Jane came back the following year and, like, stayed there, but then just didn't pay them for that year either.
Weird.
And, like, left and went back to Cambridge. Yeah. That's so messed up. Like, they cut her a break once, and then she's like...
Oh, they're gonna do it again.
Blatantly doesn't pay them. And so Maddie Davis decides she's gonna go make this trip to Cambridge to confront Jane about the unpaid rent herself. At the time, Jane was still renting from the Beatles at their place, and when Maddie showed up, it was a hot summer day, so Jane offered her a glass of mineral water.
Don't drink it.
Like, when she gives you mineral water, it has minerals.
And other things in it.
And some grade A poison, usually. Yeah. Obviously, soon after drinking the water, Maddie fell ill, surprise, surprise, and the Beatles let Maddie stay there and rest in their empty guest room. And Jane was only too happy to take care of Maddie.
Of course she was. She can kill her.
Yes, that's what she does. She kind of tortured her for about a week, taking her in and out of consciousness. Yeah, like with different medications.
A whole week?
Before she finally just ended it. Yeah, she spread it out over like a week.
I don't want to be her friend.
Right. So, after about a week, Maddie was dead, and Jane accompanied Maddie's body back to Catawba, Massachusetts. I'm probably pronouncing these all wrong, but Jane moved in with Maddie's widower, Alden Davis, to help take care of him after his wife's untimely murder.
Take care of him.
Jane decided to switch up her roles from murderer to arson, apparently, while she was there.
Why not?
Yeah, she began setting fires in the Davis home. 3 small mysterious fires happened while Jane was there. They were all extinguished quickly with minimal damage, but I guess she was like, yeah, time to try something new. I don't know.
Fire it is then, instead of torturing people with drugs.
Yeah, I think she realized she sucked at it, and she was like, okay, let's switch back to murder.
Yeah.
Genevieve Davis Gordon was the youngest daughter of Maddie and Alden, and she stayed in the house with Jane and Alden to see how her father was going to fare, after her mother's passing. She wanted to make sure her dad was okay. She was worried about him.
Which you should be.
Right, it's your dad. But I guess Jane didn't like her hanging around, so she poisoned Genevieve with arsenic.
What? Oh my gosh, she killed their kid. What the hell?
She ain't done yet. This was a new poison for Jane. Like, she didn't like to use arsenic because I guess it was easier to detect arsenic poisoning or something. Mm-hmm. But she told people that Genevieve killed herself because she was so upset from her mother's recent passing that she was grieving, and she just took her own life, and she drank arsenic or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, like,
people believe
not too much investigation went. Yeah, like nobody really thought too much about it. So 2 weeks after Genevieve's death, Alden Davis suddenly passed away due to grief.
Oh, how weird. Everyone's dying.
Exactly.
That's around Jane.
Yep. Then there was one, the final girl.
Uh-oh.
The final daughter left was Minnie Davis Gibbs. And when she refused to waive the rental debt that Jane owed the family, Jane gave her some mineral water.
Don't drink the mineral water.
Minnie died too.
Oh my God, she killed them all.
Whole family, the entire Davis family. The bitch killed most of them with mineral water.
That's insane.
The audacity.
She's crazy.
Mm-hmm. She fucked up though.
How?
She killed the whole freaking family.
Yeah.
Like, you think no one's gonna pay attention to that? So Minnie's husband was like away at sea, and when he returned home to find out that his wife and her whole family were just dead, and this all occurred within about a 2-month span of time.
Very quickly then.
Yeah, he was like, something ain't right. So he had some pull, and he got an investigation going. He talked to the police. They brought in leading toxicologist Leonard Wood, and they exhumed the Davis family.
There we go, exhuming bodies again.
Yes, we like to talk about that. That's our favorite thing to talk about.
Let's figure out what really happened.
Yeah. So while their bodies are being exhumed and investigated, Jane made her way back to Lowell, Massachusetts.
Yep, you got it.
To attempt to woo her brother-in-law, Elizabeth's widower, Ormel.
Ew.
Yeah, she wants her sister's man.
She's fucked in so many different ways. That's disgusting.
Ormel's older sister, Edna, was staying there with him, and after like a few days, she died because Jane killed her because she thought she was going to stand in the way of her getting with Ormel, so she just took her on out.
Dang, she'll literally kill anybody. You're in my way. Die.
And his sister was elderly. She was like 77. So, people probably didn't think too much of it. Probably just thought it was like old age or something. Edna's dead. And then Jane took out the housekeeper.
Why?
Named Florence. Because she wanted to be the housekeeper. She wanted to be the homemaker. She wanted to woo Ormel, so she didn't want the housekeeper. I would have just been like, I don't know, like, did something to get her fired.
Yeah, like you're out.
I wouldn't have killed her.
We don't want you to be here anymore.
Yeah.
Bye.
This bitch was ruthless. Ormel, he makes it clear to Jane that he was not interested. And so she decided she was going to poison him.
Uh-oh.
Of course. But just poison him, not kill him, because she wanted to make him sick and then nurse him back to health so he would be like, oh my gosh, I have to marry her. I
cringy.
Love her.
Disgusting. Pick me type bitch. Get out of here.
Uh-huh. So she did that, and he recovered. But when he recovered, he was still like, no, thank you. She was like super upset that he didn't want her, and she took an overdose of morphine and ended up in the hospital.
Ooh, okay. She's trying to get fucked up.
But she recovered, so I don't know if she was actually trying to kill herself or she was just being dramatic so he would feel bad.
Yeah.
Showing her true colors.
Mm-hmm.
When she recovered, Ormel kicked her ass out. He was like, you got to go. Like, I'm tired of this drama and bullshit.
Get the fuck out, Jane.
So Jane goes on a trip to Amherst, New Hampshire in October of 1901 after she gets kicked out. And it is there, she went to visit a friend, and it's there that Jane gets arrested for the murder of Minnie Davis Gibbs while visiting her friend. So the police finished their investigation, realized that she was poisoned, Minnie was poisoned, and they arrested her.
Good. Very good.
So Jane seemed unfazed by the arrest. She was assigned attorney F.M. Bixby for her trial, but she sent in a request for her childhood friend, James Stuart Murphy, to represent her instead. Reportedly, rumors circulated that he may have had a crush on her.
Ew, gross. Be careful, she'll kill you.
After Jane's arrest, one of Jane's former patients from her early days of experimentation when she was still working at the hospitals came forward, and her name was Amelia Finney, and she said after an operation Jane had given her a dose of some bitter-tasting medicine, and shortly after, she started to lose consciousness, but before she was completely out, she remembered seeing Jane climb into bed with her and start kissing her all over.
What?
Amelia then lost consciousness, and before Jane could administer her final dose to kill her, someone must have walked in and like distracted her, and she wasn't able to finish Amelia off. And Amelia woke up thinking the whole thing had been a dream, like it had to have been a horrible fever dream. And she just like fucking ignored it until she got arrested and realized, oh shit, I was almost a victim.
That's insane. Gross, Jane.
Yeah, so she would sometimes climb into bed with her patients. And she admitted that she got a sexual thrill from killing people. When I say she got off on it, she got off on it.
Yeah, that's gross.
So in March of 1902, doctors determined that Jane was insane.
Thank God, she really is.
Jane went along with this ruling, hoping that she would eventually get released from wherever.
No, you're in the loony bin forever.
Yeah. So, because she didn't think she was insane, but she went along with it because she thought it was going to help her case. According to the book Angels of Death, Murderous Medics, Nefarious Nurses, and Killer Carers by Cimino. That long-ass title again. It's a good book.
It sounds very intriguing,
check it out.
Though.
It is. It's got more than just Jane in it. It's like all kinds of people who have like nurses and stuff like that have killed their patients. So it's full of that. It's very interesting. But while in jail, waiting for her trial, she told newspapers that she had given the attorney general and the consulting psychiatrist the names of 31 persons I killed. But as a matter of fact, I killed many more whose names I cannot recall. I think it would be safe to say I killed at least 100 by the time I became a nurse at Boston Hospital, where I killed the first one, until I ended the lives of the Davis family.
Ooh.
Yeah, so she was just like, I killed like at least 31 people, but it was probably more. Lost count. Sorry about it.
That's a lot. A lot of people don't even kill one person.
Exactly. After 7 months in jail, her trial finally took place, making headlines all around the world. The trial lasted only about 8 hours, and the jury only deliberated for approximately 27 minutes. So they were like, yeah, she's guilty. Yeah, move on.
That didn't take much time.
She was sentenced to Taunton's Insane Asylum, where she stayed until she died on August 17th, 1938, at the age of 84.
So she really did live her whole life at the fucking insane asylum.
Yeah, she never got out. She thought, oh, they'll find me insane and then I'll get out in a few years. But no. They kept her ass in there the whole time. Upon entering the asylum, she would not eat her food, okay, for fear that it might be poison.
Oh, because she used to poison people.
Which, yeah, it's fucking hilarious because it's like, I guess she thought someone was gonna take revenge on all the stuff that she did and poison her ass.
That's pretty funny.
So, attendants at Taunton claimed that Jane would say to them, "Get some morphine, dearie, and we'll go out in the ward. We'll go out in the world.
Ward.
Get some morphine, dearie, and we'll go out in the ward. You and I will have a lot of fun seeing them die." She still wanted to kill people.
Yeah, it never goes away.
Once a serial killer, always a serial killer.
Yeah, murder's pumping through her blood. Surprised she didn't try to kill people in the insane asylum with her.
Right? I'm surprised she didn't, try to steal medicine and, just dose
exactly, or, not take hers and keep it and then, shove it down someone else's throat.
I mean, you're in there for life. I mean, you might as well have some fun.
What else are they going to do to you? Put you in there for another lifetime? Yeah. You'll already be dead.
So this whole story is, really fucked up. But in conclusion, Jane reportedly said that her killing spree would have never happened if the dude that broke their engagement had, actually married her. She said, "If I had been a married woman, I probably wouldn't have killed all those people. I would have had my husband and my children and my home to take up my mind."
That's so insane to think about. If she would have gotten married, she's all right, if I was married, I would have had a husband and kids and a house and a different, set of priorities, but since he broke up with me, he damaged me, and I had a murder spree.
like most people don't react from a breakup that drastically. No, like you have some other issues, honey.
But I wonder if she really would have gotten married if she wouldn't have killed anyone. Like, I really wonder about that.
Like, if she had gotten married, if she would have just been normal.
No, I think she might have still killed somebody, because obviously it was, like,
I think so,
itching in her to do it. She may think that her husband and her children would have, like, taken up space in her mind, but what if she got really upset with her husband or her kids and she wanted to kill them? And she did.
Yeah, I think that's what would have happened if she got married and had a family. She probably would have been, like, one of those people that killed her whole family. Yeah.
But she still shouldn't have killed all those people.
No, definitely not. But she did, and now she's on Cults, Crimes, and Spirits.
Yeah, and we're letting y'all know about her, and we just did the damn thing. Jolly Jane.
So, like, Lavinia Fisher probably didn't kill anybody, but this bitch definitely did.
She admitted to killing at least 31 people.
Yeah.
That's insane. Mm-hmm. But what do we have coming next week?
So we're going to New Orleans. Ooh, spooky capital of the world.
There's a lot of voodoo and stuff down there. I'm surprised we have never been.
I know. Your mom and Tim have been.
On a cruise. Yeah, they stopped there. But
that is on my list.
Yeah, we should try to go sometime.
I really want to go.
Even if it's for, like, just a couple days.
Yeah.
Eat some food.
I want to see all the cemeteries there.
But yes.
Next week, New Orleans. That's all I'm going to say. So until next time, stay
spooky.